Let's talk about multiplication today. We're going to look at multiplication using larger numbers than what we're used to seeing. So first, let's just review what multiplication actually means. If you remember, multiplication is a way to do repeated addition when the numbers get big enough that we don't want to just keep adding it. So it's when we take the same number over and over and over and over again. So let's look at this example here. This is an array for my multiplication. I have a number across the top, and then I repeat that number again below, and then again below, and then again below. So let's count and let's see what this array is showing us. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 14 boxes across the top here. And now let's look at how many times that number 14 repeats. I have it 1 time, I have it 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times. So this multiplication array here is 14 times 4. So 14 times 4 is a large multiplication problem that we're not used to being able to solve in our head. We don't have the 14s memorized the way that we might have the 6s or the 8s. We don't have strategies to help us with that. So here's what we can do. If you think about 14 as a big number that can be broken into 2 smaller pieces, it makes it a lot easier, and we can multiply this in small chunks. We can look at our array in 2 smaller, friendlier chunks. So let me think about breaking my number 14 into pieces. I'm going to think about my 10s and my 1s to help me out. 14 is 10 plus 4, isn't it? So I can think about this array. Instead of 14, I can instead look at it and think about it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. If I think about it as 10 and then 4, it makes this a little bit easier to help me think through. I still have 10 repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So this does still look like 10 times 4 if I look just at this box over here. That is an array that shows 10 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Again, repeated addition, 10 times 4. So then what's left over here? Well, I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. And I still repeat this for 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So this other side of my array over here that I chopped off looks like 4 times 4. Again, that's a friendlier multiplication problem for me to figure out, isn't it? So when I'm doing multiplication with larger numbers, I want to take my big number and chunk it into smaller, friendlier pieces. So I have a pink side and then a blue side over here. So it's no longer 14 times 4, is it? I now have 10 times 4 and 4 times 4. If I take this 10 times 4, and I'm going to draw those little parentheses symbols around it to show me that I'm going to group them together off on the side on its own. What is 10 times 4? 40, very good. And then what about 4 times 4? Well, I can remember my double-double strategy. 4 times 2 is 8. And if I double that again, it's 16. Very good. 4 times 4 is 16. So I have 40 squares right here, 10, 20, 30, 40. And on my blue side of the array, I have 16 squares, 4, 8, 12, 16. Now, if I want to go back and figure out 14 times 4, the big problem that I started off with, I'm just going to take these and put them back together again. 40 plus 16. And if I show that work off to the side, 40 plus 16 is 56. All together, 14 times 4 equals 56. And if I were to go through and count all of the squares in my array all together, there would be 56 squares. So again, to do our multiplication of our larger numbers, we had to first take our big number and chunk it into friendly pieces. The friendly pieces were easier for us to multiply. Once I had my friendly pieces, I could multiply each piece. And then once I knew the answer to the multiplication for the each piece, I could add the pieces back together again. So when you're working on multiplication here, those are the steps that we're going to follow. We're going to chunk our big number into friendly, smaller pieces, multiply those pieces, and then we're going to add those pieces back together to find the big final answer. That's our multiplication.